It was an ordinary evening when my husband walked through the door, his face unreadable. I greeted him as usual, but something in his demeanor felt off. I should have noticed it sooner, but I was too caught up in my own world. We had been together for years, through ups and downs, through struggles and triumphs, yet that night, something was different. Dinner was quiet. Too quiet. He barely spoke, barely touched his food. I asked if everything was all right, but he only nodded, forcing a smile. The weight in the air was suffocating, pressing down on both of us, but neither of us dared to address it. Then, after washing the dishes, he sat me down. His hands trembled slightly as he reached for mine. "I need to talk to you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. My heart pounded. "What is it?" I asked, bracing myself for what was coming. He exhaled deeply, as if gathering the courage to say the words. "I can't do this anymore." A chill ran down my spine. "Do what?" "Us. This marriage. I'm leaving." The world around me stopped. I stared at him, waiting for a punchline, waiting for him to laugh and say it was all a joke. But he didn't. His expression remained solemn, his eyes filled with a sadness I had never seen before. "But why?" I managed to whisper, my voice barely holding together. He hesitated, then sighed. "I've been unhappy for a long time. I tried to ignore it, tried to push it down, but it's eating me up inside. We don't talk like we used to. We don't connect. It feels like we're just coexisting, not living." Tears welled up in my eyes. "Why didn't you say anything? We could have fixed this." He shook his head. "I did. So many times. But nothing changed. And I realized something. I can't keep living in a relationship where I feel invisible, where I feel like a shadow in my own home." I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong, to beg him to stay. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had felt it too, the distance, the coldness, the way we had become strangers under the same roof. We had been holding on to something that had already slipped through our fingers. "Where will you go?" I finally asked, my voice trembling. "I don't know yet," he admitted. "But I need to find myself again. I need to figure out who I am without this. Without us." Tears fell freely now. "I love you. I never wanted this." His eyes softened. "I love you too. And that's why I have to go. We both deserve more than just existing." He stood up, grabbed his bag, and walked toward the door. I watched him, hoping, praying that he would turn back, that he would say he changed his mind, that he would stay. But he didn't. The door closed behind him, and just like that, he was gone. The silence in the house was deafening. I sat there for what felt like hours, trying to process what had just happened, trying to understand how everything had led to this moment. But no matter how much I replayed it in my mind, there was no going back. I had lost him. And in that moment, I realized I had lost myself too.